Okay guys, here we're going to discuss dosing. So the dose is how much coffee you put in, how much dry grinds. We usually measure it in grams by weight. Here we have a single dose cup. Here we have a double shot cup, okay? We're going to use the single for this video, so a single shot of espresso. Now we recommend for this single shot 14 grams and 18 for the double. So 14 grams should be your perfect spot when dialed into the right grind size. This video is going to show you what happens if you use not enough or too much, as well as just right. We'll try about 10 grams. All right, we got 10.2. Now everything else we're going to do the same as if it's the proper dosage to control those variables. Let you have a look at what that looks like before we tamp it. All right, distribute it evenly, make sure there's no clumps. This here is to make sure it's level, again to help with the even tamp. I'll give you one more glance before I add pressure. So there's a decent amount of space there from the surface. And then one final look. Now you can see that it's just too much space, really. But we're going to run it and see what it's like, right? Now a perfect shot should be a 1-to-2 ratio, so double the weight in fluids as what you put in. And that should happen in about 20 to 30 seconds. So here we've already doubled that in 8 seconds. So this is obviously pulling way too fast. There's not enough grinds or not enough pressure in that basket to slow it down to get a nice balanced extraction. So this will be under extracted is what they call it. Under extracted is when it basically doesn't cook those grinds fast enough or long enough. It's going to be thin or watery. The flavor will be a bit too sour usually. So you won't really taste that natural sweetness. The bitterness, it may still be a little bit too bitter, but that's basically it. Let me show you what the puck looks like. So this is going to be a very soupy puck. Be careful, it may be hot. You can see that's very squishy. Okay, it's uneven, it's unsmooth. It's going to get stuck in here probably. So you can see it's just a mess, right? All right, so this next shot, what we're going to do, we're going to overdose. Then we recommend 14 grams for the single shot basket. So here we'll try 18 grams. All right, we got 18 on the dot. Now, this is going to be too much again, so it may spill out. It may be hard to even tamp it into the basket. All right, let me show you what that looks like, but it should be obvious that it'll be overflowing. So I already lost some on the table here, and you can see that's just heaping over, right? But we're going to tamp it anyway. Do a nice tamp. So that's very close to the edge here, even with the amount of pressure that we need to tamp it. All right, got a cup ready. Now, sometimes when you overdose, when you use too much, it may be hard to even lock the portafilter into the group head. It takes more pressure. That's a good sign. All right, and let's hit the single espresso shot. Again, we're looking for a 1-to-2 ratio, 1 being the dose, 2 being the output, in about 20 to 30 seconds. We've got a very thin stream, okay? It's a trickle. It's just coming out slow. It's now down to drops. So at 30 seconds, we're well past our recommended time. So we'll stop that there. So here you'll see that we have a very thick, a very dark, and what will taste extremely bitter. So you'll lose those sour notes. You'll lose that natural sweetness that comes from the coffee. Give that puck a second to rest. So here we've got the water soaked in, but you can see that this is imprinted into the group head, into the machine there, the filter. You can see the shape of the screw. You can see the basket. This is going to be a very firm, hard to press into, incredibly dry puck. Be careful, it'll be hot. So with that, it was just too dense, right? So you either have to sacrifice getting less, or to get the same volume, you're going to get a much more bitter, much more dry, really just no flavor to it shot. And I'll try to give you a look at that. So that's incredibly dry. It breaks in layers, okay? And on the bottom edges there, it's actually got an uneven cooking. It's already crumbled because it's just so fragile and dry. So you'll see dark streaks along that puck there on the bottom side, where it's actually began to burn. So, too fast or underdosing makes it thin, sour. Too slow or overdosing makes it thick and bitter. Just right, there should be a balance of a little bit of sour, a little bit of bitter, and also a natural sweetness. Don't think of like sugar, like it's not going to be like super noticeable, but the more you've figured out that right dosage, the more you're going to notice those natural sweet notes in the coffee. Now we're going to try the proper dose, 14 grams. We'll measure out 14 grams. Here we go. 15.0, all right. We'll move that over to our basket. All right, so you see how that's gonna pretty much be even with it before I tamp it, before I add any pressure, okay? So if you don't have your scale or it's giving you trouble, you'll still have an idea what that should look like. One more glance before I tamp it. So that's with some pressure added. Now finally, I'll tamp that down. Just wipe off the edges for you. So you can see how we have about 2 to 4 millimeters of space, maybe like a 1/4 inch of space from the surface of the coffee to the surface of the portafilter basket. That's about what you're looking for after you tamp. So we're aiming for a 1:2 ratio. So 14 grams in, 28 grams of weight out, and within 20 to 30 seconds, here the stream is fairly steady. It's not dripping. It's not too thick. There's no spraying. And right around 20 seconds, around 20 seconds is when we hit that 28 grams. I could have stopped it sooner, actually. And you can also consider that at that time, the 20 to 30 seconds often includes the pre-infusion or that first 2 or 3 seconds. And so here, you'll see there's a beautiful crema on top. That's Italian for cream. And yet there's still a clearness to the actual espresso itself. It's not muddy, it's not too thick. So with this, you'll have a balance of some sour, but also some bitter notes, which will depend on your machine, will depend on your bean and other factors, but there should be some sourness and some bitterness. And when you have a nice rounded flavor, a nice balance of those, you'll also get that natural sweetness. It won't be too thick, won't be too thin, it won't taste burnt. So that's where we recommend 14 grams for your single dose puck, single dose basket. And here we'll give you a look at that. So there should be some give. It should be a little spongy, but not too much, so I can push into it if I push a little hard, but it's not soupy and it's not too resistant, okay? And that should come out fairly clean. There we go. So once it came out, it left our basket almost clean. So you can see it's nice and smooth. It is pretty hot right now. And then there's not like a difference in color here. We don't see the dark marks that we had in the overdose shot. And that's what a good puck looks like. It's very liquidy. It came out too fast, not enough coffee, too much water, too sour. Overdosing, that's a bit too thick. It's going to taste burnt and bitter. There's really all you're going to taste is bitterness in that case. And then just right. It's not too thin, not too thick. So I don't feel like an immediate sourness in my jaw, but I also won't have like a real strong, thick, disgusting over bitterness either. There's your demonstration. Underdosing, overdosing, and just right.